And yeah,
Oh, y'all gonna see as we unravel today.
yeah. So it's a lot on the brain today. But we are here and we are live, and I'm really excited about today's show. And just some of the things we're going to be talking about. But let me ask y'all, how's y'all week been going?
My week was good. It's been going good. With the exception of some, conflicts in the community.
Hmm.
But my son learned how to ride his bike on Greenwood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. If you are in Tulsa and you're listening on the radio now, take your kids out to Greenwood so my kids can have somebody to play with. Because they always out there. Look, they learning how to. That's not the first thing they learned on Greenwood. They're always on Greenwood. But the best part about my kids being on growing up on Greenwood is that they get to meet other serial entrepreneurs.
Okay. All right.
I know it seemed like it was supposed to be more, y'all. Like, what
You
else
did
he
just
about
kind of
to
just like
say?
dropped off
Just
the
stop.
cliff.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
My week's been pretty good. Actually, this past weekend, I got kind of told by pretty much everybody. I'm usually doing a lot of stuff, and pretty much everybody collectively told me, was like, "Hey, you need to sit down." I had hurt my ankle a couple weeks back, and I just been kind of pushing through and pushing through, and I finally, I guess out of necessity, told the people around me, "Hey, I'm kind of nursing my ankle, so I'm being a little bit limited." And they was like, "Nah, you just need to go sit down." And so outside of the whole cabin fever, being stuck with my foot up for a couple days, it gave me a lot of time to kind of reflect, plan some things out. I've been working on the book, but it's good
Uh
to
oh.
sometimes take that to heed that answers from the people around you. And even if it comes in a way where, like, I was flat out told, "Hey, we don't need you here," which kind of sucks, it's cool. I still did it. But even then, it's like they care enough about you to say, "Hey, we want you to be at your best, not what's left." And I think that's important.
Be at your best and not what's left. Like that. That was good. It's always good when we loving on each other, in that way, making sure that we're good. Because sometimes, employers be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I hear
Mm-hmm.
your ankle. Could you wrap it up real, and rest at home? Don't go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely it's always good when you have that aspect of everything. But shout out to everybody who is tuning in live and sorry. I guess you kind of stole my good thing this week. But yeah, he taught our son how to ride his bike, which was really, really awesome and really, really great. And he was it was just cute just seeing him riding his bike because like my daughter know how to ride her bike now, and he took his tricycles off. He was like he was on her bike at first, and he was like, you know what, I think I got this. So he was like, help me take the tricycles off. So he got them off, and then he was like, okay. And now he's riding, so that's really exciting. Yeah, we always are on Greenwood. I mean, one Greenwood lately has been receiving a it's crazy that just like one incident, can happen for us, and we receive so much in negative, just publicity and media lately, and like it's been so crazy. Like the news people been on Greenwood for like every single day since then,
All
and
day.
all day, like it's like we can't reuse the same footage or something like that. It's weird. Like they just it's like, okay, y'all, what
And
you
why
say?
y'all in the business district? Why y'all by all the businesses recording? Like
Yeah.
it didn't even happen over there.
Yeah.
It kind of goes to show, like, the culture is, spreading negative information or bad news. That's a lot of our social media. That's a lot of what we see. And so with all of the good that's going on around down in Greenwood, the first hint of something bad is going to get buzzed around. And so if we just understand that that's just how things are, if you hear a bad comment about you, it's going to take like 10 good comments to make you feel a little bit differently about that. And so if we understand that, that's why doing the work is so important, because we know it's only going to take one drop to really move the needle back. And we're constantly fighting that fight.
Yeah.
What shout out for just the community just being so responsive too,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, soon as it happened, I mean, immediately the community just started planning. What do we need to do so that these kids could be in a comfortable place to enjoy events like this.
But yeah, definitely, y'all. Sorry, there'll be like some little inside things that be happening, so that's why I'll be laughing. But because I am goofy, I am really goofy. But we're heading to the news portion, you guys, and I'm really, really excited. He was about to take my portion. I was like, wait,
Hey,
I
it was
ain't
like
gonna have
the
nothing to
Dana
say.
White. It was like the Oscars. It was like, hey, do you hear the music, sir?
I know. I like look. I planned so hard
Wrap
for
it
this,
up.
so I'm like, come on now. But yeah, it we all know what happened on Greenwood. And if you do not know what happened on Greenwood, it was Juneteenth festival, and one phenomenal. It's always amazing when we see us come together. We were out doing some interviews earlier that day, and a lot of things people was saying. They were like, we missed the family, like the family atmosphere of being black, right? Like everybody was your auntie, that was your cousin, like they missed that and they want to see that come back. And that's what before all this happened Saturday, we were out there in the heat, y'all, because I was like, I ain't going out there when it's later because there's gonna be so many people, and I don't like doing big crowds with our kids and stuff like that. So we went out earlier, and that was the theme of literally of what everybody said. Y'all gonna see those interviews up. They're gonna be on Greenwood Griot's page, and we're also gonna collaborate with them. But it's going to be really, really awesome just to see that. But it was really sad that after all that, we had violence that erupted with one person dead and multiple people injured. So it was just really, really sad and just honestly really heartbreaking because people were having a great time. And I think that's the part the news needs to see. Like, hey, people were also having a great time. Nobody else was doing anything like that. Yes, something did happen, as in stuff happened with you guys as well, right? So it's just people were having such a good time, and yes, something did happen, but let's focus on the good, and let's focus on how to just kind of revamp everything. But like I said, this was the Tulsa Juneteenth festival. Now the mayor, he issued a statement, and I'm not going to read all of it, but I do want to shout out our Mayor Nichols, because he also had his team out there, and he connected with us, um, Cody Ransom at Greenwood Griot's, and he basically just was like, hey, how do we reach the youth? We want to hear from the youth. So his team came down, sat with Cody, and that day, like literally, we planned it. Like he was like that day. So he came Monday. It happened Saturday. He came Monday. A representative from his team, and then Brenton, and then him and Cody were talking, and that day, worked out a flyer. I mean, and the community showed out. Y'all, I wish I had pictures, and I should have put the pictures up, you guys. But the room was packed and filled. You guys went to the studio, you know how, and it was packed. We had seats out. You were there. Yep. And it was packed, and it was filled with people who wanted to make solutions, right? Also, some people brought out their kids, and that was really good to see and hear from the kids on what they need. So that's what it was about. It was called Let Them Talk. And that's the flyer for it. And that happened this Monday. Let them talk. And let them speak. And we wanted to hear from them. And it was really, really good. A really great turnout. But we want to keep that going. Also want to highlight some really great things that also happened in the city and what's happening. Earlier this week on Saturday, earlier that day, I mean, a lot of good things happened Saturday. Tamika Rogers, she had, it's called We Are One. The basketball team, We Are One. Cody Ransom actually was a documentary about him and his impact he's making with them. And there were kids that actually filmed this. I got pictures of the kids, y'all. And these kids actually filmed this. They were directors of photography, they were like the sound people. They did this, like they did it, and it was really great. And one of the disappointing things about this was that they had no support. We were there were other people being honored, and it was just really honestly heartbreaking that these kids had no support. And I'm from New Orleans, me and my husband from New Orleans, and when I do not know what not being supported looks like, because my mama's side is going to support me. My dad's side is going to support me. Like everybody's going to be out there in drove. But I see this as a reoccurring thing with a lot of kids in Tulsa, that they're not being supported by their families, the community members. Like no one's coming out. And this was free, you guys. Like you could have made a donation if you wanted to. It wasn't like one of those, you come to the door and they're going to be like, you got to make a donation. No, you could came in there for free. Like it was free and it was beautiful. It was a great documentary, very engaging. It wasn't boring. Like it was good. Like these kids did a phenomenal job. And that was by Dr. Tamika Rogers. And it was really, really great. And I enjoyed it. We took, our kids was out there. We was out there. It was really nice. These kids would look at these kids. Look how nicely they were dressed. They got these kids suits. They were in limos. It was really, really nice. And I just, hope. And these some of the honorees, Hank Bird. Oh, hey, Charles from One World Development, News You Can Use. He's out there, Pastor Tim. There were so many people being honored there.
Yeah.
Even Pastor Mayor Nichols was honored as well, but he was out of town at the Mayor's Summit, so he could not make it, but he did send a video in. And it was just a great time. So I just wanted to highlight the good things that are happening with the North Tulsa, kids, but I just really wish that they had a lot more support. And I think that as a community, we got to go out there and support them. Yeah. And this is the flyer for We Are One. It was really, really amazing.
We are one.
I know. Make you think, oh God, I gotta go find that song. But I love that. But I'm gonna tell you about this Saturday, what is happening. This is a family book swap,
that
right?
graphic was dope too, though.
The family book swap, that picture was dope. I wonder who took that picture.
Shout out to Top Shot Studios.
The Cody, we did the Cody one in the back. But that was dope. But family book swap is happening. This is now Ebony Jones. She's been on the show several times. Ebony is in the community. She is doing the thing. I'm telling you guys. She do book swaps all the time, plant swaps. She do all the swaps. I think she did clothing swap one time. I'm not sure. Really, yeah. Ebony? Yeah. Oh man!
Wow.
So Ebony was. She's been on the show several times. She's doing the family book swap. It's gonna be at the Edurek. I'm probably saying it wrong. Edurek.
I think you're saying it right.
I'm saying it right.
You're saying it better than I could.
Okay, good. But it's gonna be there at 5424 North Madison Avenue, right there in North Tulsa. Y'all, it's the Band Book Library. It's gonna be really, really awesome. Bring your kids. It's free. Take them out and swap some books out. Bring your old books that maybe they're not reading anymore, they're too young for, and come get some new ones. And I just think this is a great thing because there are good things happening in North Tulsa. So I just wanted to highlight those things because there are good things that are happening in North Tulsa. Now over to Richard Roots to tell us about our guests. Because wait, y'all, we have a phenomenal guest here today. We've met them. Okay, I'm not gonna take your part. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, she was talking about me taking her part earlier. Now she's gonna take mine.
I know, huh?
But yeah, we have some phenomenal guests. We have the owners of Original Healing, young, beautiful Black couple. And we met them at a spoken word event right on Greenwood at the Greenwood Griots building. And this young man did a poem so good. But look, before he even done his poem, I don't think he signed up to do it. His wife was like, hey, my husband got something. So we called Cody called up her husband. He came and dropped the poem. I was like, you know what? I got to meet this man. But I'm gonna put him on the spot too. So after he tell us a little bit about himself, if he can go ahead and bless and grace the radio and our audience with this poem that he spoke at the event. But ladies and gentlemen, we give you
Dezo X.
Yeah.
Dezo X.
Welcome.
It's a little nickname I like to go by.
I like that. Dezo is smooth.
So you want me to hit it first? I can first.
All right, go ahead.
Go
your
ahead.
thing.
Turn his mic up.
Turn my speakers up. I feel like I'm in the studio now.
And look at his wife looking like she's so proud.
Yes, I wrote this in the time where much like after something happens, an event like this past weekend, I was a little bit younger. I'd say about 3 or 4 years ago. And I had been working on it for that long a time. But this is a time where there were more incidents like it happening. I was losing a few friends. I had one friend who had unfortunately taken his own because of his own depression. But we had a lot of tragedy going on in Tulsa. So when you have so much of these events stacked up right next to each other, it makes you think: is this what our people are succumb to? Are we meant for this? Like this cannot be what our people are designed to be. Just thinking that we're just negative and we're meant to attack each other constantly. So I had been introduced to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he had, I mean, not in personally, but on a I would say an Instagram feed, and he had said something that really spoke out to me. So that's pretty much what inspired this poem, and it's called "Hope for My Culture," and it goes something like this. I'm the type to like to wear Kyrie on my jersey, listen to Kanye on my playlist, Farrakhan on my mind. I know sometimes I'm so tenacious about my nation. I'm displaced in a society that would like me to chastise my culture and never exercise patience. But optimism for my people is my obligation. My depiction of the black man has never been tarnished despite how much they tried to crucify our character and depict ourselves as martyrs. I've seen fathers willing to live by their character and die for their daughters. And I was told I'm so naive because of the way I prejudge black people intentionally, thinking every copper colored king is my brother and until convinced otherwise could never be my enemy. And I was told a drunken mind speaks with a sober tongue. Well, a brother didn't have some Hennessy in my younger days, but no dark nor light can make me inebriated enough to speak with such clarity and conviction. I feel I've been given wisdom from my ancestors telling me y'all generation is who we waited and prayed for because y'all the type to say y'all got the wrong one and I'm not going to take much more. And growing up, seeing my mother take care of us was my saving grace because that became the catalyst for my capacity to be loved by another lady of my race. And I was raised in that culture. It's what made me to a soldier. I was wrapped in that for years on years. So growing up in Tulsa, I've got that can't stop, won't stop wrapped in my black on black skin tone. So call me Dezo Kunta Kinte because I came to get everything they said I wasn't meant for. Hope for my culture. Peace.
Yeah,
Come on.
Come with it.
Yeah,
So,
that was dope.
Y'all,
That
and
was
we
really
had
dope.
this day like planned out way before the topic. Like it was like, you know what, we have to have them on the show. So I mean, him coming on with that poem before I even introduce the topic is like crazy. The topic today is love. What is it? Black love in the midst of conflict. What is it? That's
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Look,
You
the
just
Yeah.
make
the
you
guest is
make
like
it more
confirming it.
elegant every
you over
time.
here confirming it. I was like, you picked the title.
It was the time of conflict the last
I
time.
just wanted to
but
make sure I said it
the
right.
miss sounds better. Let
But
me update that.
Like,
there
we
we
was
go.
gonna go with whatever you said.
Black love in the midst of conflict. With Miss Barbara Darrensbury says, "Speak, young man." Yes, snap, snap. Yeah, bro, you killed that, man. But man, y'all, I'm gonna break that into snippets too, so y'all can hear that again. But that's dope, man.
That was
But
so.
original healing. Tell us about original healing. Like what? So first off, because I'm speaking for the man already, y'all. He is the owner of Original Healing, and if you can tell us like about original healing, what is it, and like what inspired you to come up with it and the name?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, first, before I break into all that, original healings would not have seen the daylight, despite all that was in the blueprint process. It wouldn't been for my wife. So, I don't know if y'all got bombs to drop, but
Yeah, we got.
I do. Okay, it was working out. Look, I was
Okay.
trying to clap after you when you
Okay.
did the poem, but it wasn't working. I was like, what is going on? But yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
Well, thank you. But yeah, it wouldn't. I had been in the blueprint process of it for a few years, but like I said, it wouldn't have seen the light of day had it not been my right hand. So yeah. So original healings, I thought of it during COVID, and ironically, I had became vegan a couple years before COVID. And I'll say vegan, but really I mean plant-based, and that's when you eat food off of a sole ingredient. The ingredients in whatever package you might have, it'll be short, not a whole paragraph, but it's whole foods. So I've been plant-based or vegan for some years, and that was inspired from seeing my family derive on pills so much and
Yeah.
barely seem to be having a fullness of life. And then my brother, may God be pleased with his spirit, my brother-in-law, he had lost his when I was a senior in high school. So, you know, I started being more intrusive. I'm not intrusive. Just intuitive on studying nutrition and a plant-based diet, have you? So at some point, I started writing little snippets on how to keep your health during COVID, and then I called them original healings, and I would send these out. These are little PDFs, and then at some point, I was like, I want to do more for the community. I want to do more. I'm at OU at this time in Norman, and I'm coming down every other weekend or so, and I'm like, hey, you know, who wants some of these health hacks? I would also call them, and so that became Original Healings. So Original Healings, the title in itself, clinging to the origin of health. So right now it's just juices, but it'll expand to more. It's just cold pressed juice, but I like to help, you know, bridge the food desert in our community, specifically North Tulsa, so we can have something to cling on to, because Oasis has great quality, has a great benefactor towards our community and stuff like that. But we need more. We need more. There's no Sprouts out here. There's no Whole Foods. There's no Walmart. There's no natural grocers. You know, we have very little options. We had something that just came up. It was I think it's like a nutrition box or something. But we have very limited options and resources. So I wanted to provide something like that, and I'm very proud that we've gotten this far with it. So it's cold pressed juices, no sugars, no preservatives, no sweeteners, just cold pressed whole fruit with seeds in it, and just herbs to coexist with the taste.
All right, yeah, and he said with seeds in it. Let you know his watermelon is not the
Come on now.
GMO hybrid one.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, but yeah, and I'm gonna tell y'all, his juices are really, really good. They are really, really good. I had what's the one? The Island
Alchemy.
Yes, the Island Alchemy one. That was so good, y'all. It was really good. It was like pineapple, coconut water, basil, sour sop.
That's right.
Yeah, and apples.
Yeah.
See, I remember.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. Look, I
She got that
remember it
good
because it was
memory.
really good. But he has like really good. One thing I do want to say that at the Dream Center, there's like a little food store there at the Dream Center. Yeah,
it's
so
like a box or something.
yeah, okay, so that's what you were talking about. Yeah, so I wanted to just shout that out for anybody listening that may need like a place to go. But it is true. There is no Sprout. There is no Walmart even in North Tulsa. And when we think about just kind of how we've been in the light of the media and different things like that, you know, these are the reasons why things are like this is happening, because North Tulsa has been like neglected, you know, and also our kids have been neglected, our families have been neglected, and I think this is why we're seeing things like this. Just because, one, I know a lot of people say, well, that's because people be stealing out of the stores and and insurance or whatever. So I do understand that, but that's also going back to the families. But the families are being neglected and stuff like that. You know, in the food area, they're being neglected. So you doing things like that, teaching about that, is really, really beautiful. Richard.
Yeah, I just think it's terrible that we don't have Walmarts and stuff like that in North Tulsa, because when you think about like what it does to us financially, that means that we're going to spend most of our money in convenience stores, you know, which heightens the poverty, you know,
And
or you have
shortens your life.
to use Uber. I did Uber for a while, and when I was doing Uber, I was picking people up from the hood to go to the store and bring them back. You know, so it's just like, so what that person would pay in a poverty stricken area versus what somebody would pay in a wealthy area is completely different.
Yeah.
You know, but this is a lot of reasons why, you know, the kids find themselves in that cycle again of, you know, selling drugs and stealing and stuff like that. So yeah, they're stealing because it's hard for them to survive. You know, everybody don't steal just, you know, for a hobby or something.
And may I mention this? I noticed that when we had the Oasis actually touch grounds on the north side of Tulsa, it was so much less like traffic going, so much craziness that just stopped for a little while. It stopped. Like a lot of us didn't take note of that, but I think that the brother who owned it, he did. He was like, "Do y'all see what's going on here?"
That's good.
Yeah, so
that's good.
People was hungry out there. Yeah, that is really crazy. But go ahead, Richard.
It's good having a local Tulsan, a native Tulsan on the show. But you guys, we got blessed with some juice too.
What kind of juice is it?
So this is the watermelon mojito.
Okay.
Yeah, I mimicked it off of a smoothie I had seen, and then I had tweaked it, added a few different things to it, and made my own. So it's got seeded watermelon, key limes, better than other limes because it actually has seeds in it, mint, light agave, and I also throw in a tiny bit of sea moss in there.
Okay, cool. I think that's the one my kids had the
Oh,
other
we
day.
got
I think y'all had that one.
we
the other
got
day.
the 96 minerals in here. I got it right.
92.
92.
92.
Dang, I would have lost the prize.
92.
No, that's really, really good. No.
No, so back to the topic of the show, Black love in the midst of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Juneteenth event happening, like, how does that make you feel as a young Black man native to Tulsa?
So you're talking about the event as a whole, or what
Oh no,
transpired?
just
vibe.
yeah, what transpired?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's disheartening because we had a lot of progression. I think in the most recent year there was no shooting. I want to say that some kids had fought a little bit, but the year before that as well, there was no shooting. So it's very disheartening, and it makes it harder for us to, because we're trying to propel and piggyback off of the centennial. We're still high from that. A lot of, Tulsa, we still have the documentary out. People are still thinking about Black Wall Street and the 100th centennial. So we're still trying to use that to our advantage and say we're trying to break out of this box of less seen, less exposure, and get all of the entrepreneurs seen and stuff like that. But that, is just, we already are fighting the stigmatism that's Tulsa is just known for being on first 48. So yeah, it's a little disheartening, but it just shows that we have more work to do. So
yeah, I wanted to set the record straight too, because like people think, oh, Tulsa is just such a bad place because it's always on first 48. The reality of it is that the detectives do so much of a good job. They think this will be a good place for first 48 to um film a lot, because I mean it'd be terrible if they kept filming here and nobody ever just solved the crime.
Right.
It's like, what, we need to find another spot.
Yeah.
So it's not, a crime happens everywhere. They're just highlighted here in Tulsa because first 48 detectives in Tulsa are really good.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Because I've been seeing a lot of it. It bothers me to see so many posts on social media about how terrible Tulsa is. I'm like, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
We moved here because Tulsa is a beautiful place to raise your family.
Come on.
Now you trying to make it look like Tulsa is just a terrible place, and it's not.
Come on. And back to what the sister said earlier, when they tried to also have so much of the film for First 48 on the north side, but it's because that's proximity. That's I forgot the term for it exactly, but that's proximity crime. If it's a small area and we're already a poverty-stricken environment with low economic resources, of course people gonna cut up.
Yeah.
Ain't got no. Of course people gonna cut up. But on the south side, well, I mean not South Peoria, because people cutting up on South Peoria too. They don't like to show that. You go on 61st, it's gonna look like it's abandoned.
Yeah.
My wife would tell you she worked not too far from there, but yeah, they don't show that. But that's poverty proximity crime. So
Yeah.
Man, there's some good
But
juice.
that's really how it is, like everywhere. Because like even when you see first 48 in Miami,
exactly.
it's like the most poverty stricken areas. That's where they be at, But I mean, I wish they were fighting crimes in New Orleans, like finding out. I wish they were, because they be knowing. I wish they were actually arresting people and doing something about it. Because in New Orleans, they don't do anything about it.
I don't get it. I guess there's just so much crime in New Orleans because supposedly New Orleans have like the highest incarceration rate in America. So,
but I want to ask y'all a question. How do you think as a people, how do we get back to restoring like Black love and Black excellence here in the community? Like how do we get back to what Greenwood was about? What like what we were about? What y'all think? What's y'all thoughts on that?
Okay, I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna let her veggie back off of me. Yeah, I
love it. I love it. I love it. Veggie back. Go ahead.
We don't do piggyback.
I know. We don't do no pork either, but that's I love it.
Yeah.
What's wrong with pork? No, I'm joking.
If you got a script now.
No.
No. Yeah, I love that question, man. I love that question. It's a timeless question because we definitely need to put our mindsets on that. So how we get back to that? Like I said, this past weekend, we got to focus on that village mindset, and that's what you all are focusing on. Making sure that our problems is just not an individual one, but if you got a problem, I got a problem. If I see my brother on the side of the road struggling to change his tire, I gotta pull over. And sometimes it makes me itch because I'm like, I know I can do something. I got tools in my trunk. So, we used to say it takes a village to raise a child. And like I said, if we look at each other's nieces, and I'm quoting the brother Nuri Muhammad, student minister Nuri Muhammad in the Nation, and he would say, we used to say it takes a village to raise a child, and we would look at your son as my nephew, your daughter is my niece. And if they're outside of my neighborhood, we got the neighborhood watch because that's not just your children, that's ours. So
Right.
we start with that, and that's how the dollar circulates right there, because we know we got to support each other. We know we have to, and that's the same reason I believe that you all supported us. So yeah,
I agree.
in my
I
opinion,
agree.
I think I gave her enough time to come up with something.
She was like, she's trying to get away with it. She was like, I agree.
Well, I guess speaking from a teacher background, I just really have a lot of love for children and just like the Black community within itself. I'm all about family and love. So like a simple saying is treat others how you want to be treated. And I just feel like that really goes a long way. If you want to be treated with respect, treat others with respect. And that's really how we can really get back to a community. If we all just put our differences to the side and really come together and agree on something to be better as a people, not just for ourselves and be selfish, but for everybody. Because we're thinking about the next generation. We can't just think about ourselves.
Yeah, I like that. That also reminds me, because I think a lot of times in communities, what we end up having is a lot of kind of back and forth within like leaders of the community, right? So we have like, people, "Oh, I don't like their idea. Oh, I don't like their idea." Everybody wants to kind of be like the person that do it or something like that, right? Or makes the difference, especially even today's time when we have such like social media culture where people want to just be seen, like that attention, right? So but it's like just like how you were saying, what's greater for the generations to come. And I think about that often. I feel like we're so messed up because even when it comes to our own kids, we would bicker and fight with the baby daddy. And we don't want to let him see the child. It's just like so much. So much is craziness, and it's like, but we're destroying the child in the process because we have our own emotions and we don't want to just put it aside just for the greater need. So there's like, that's really what we need to do as a people. Put it all aside so that we can come together, have conversations, not just conversations, like solutions and goals to meet, like literally like, okay, well, all right, so we seeing this now, who want to head up this, or who wants to do this, or who want to do this. Like let's go and put our heads together and work, put our funds together, stop waiting on the quote unquote white man just to come and save us. We always waiting for it like that. Like, like, because I feel like we can't do anything. Like a lot our people has this mindset like we can't do anything.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, we ain't got no money, or we gotta wait for them. It's like, no, like we understand that somebody is hungry and they need food. Cook a meal, send it to them. Like they need to go apply for food stamps, like just like I did. No, just cook a meal, bring it. Kids are hungry, and a lot of times that's what you have. Especially like I've been learning just about like Title I schools, and North Tulsa has a Title I schools, and these kids are like, we learned that with Met Cares, and that's a great program for anybody who wants to be in it. But it's like we learned about that, and I'm like, dang, like I didn't know like kids was like hungry like this, like kids coming to school, hungry, like starving, like that's like crazy, like. And it's like, I don't know if it was like my husband, we grew up on like two different sides of the world, right? Like he grew up totally different from what I grew up, right? So it's like
I grew up poor. She grew up rich.
I didn't grow up rich. I didn't grow up rich, but like I never lacked for anything. Like my mom made sure that there was food in the house. Like I didn't understand that like there were kids that didn't have food in the home. Like they were struggling. Like
That's
that's
kind of us.
yeah. So
that's
it's like
us. We come from two different backgrounds too.
yeah. So
That's dope. It's good to know I'm not the only one in the room.
You know about not wasting food.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's not A1. You gonna eat something.
And my grandma made sure I ate all my food before dessert.
yeah, like you know what? Back in the day, like, and I'm a terrible parent because
Wait, y'all had dessert?
Yeah.
He's
I
like,
grew up middle class.
Yeah, I can tell. Dessert.
He said they had dessert.
I thought only rich kids had dessert. Yeah, I thought the only TV kids had dessert. I was like, who gets dessert? But apparently kids did.
The
I
kids
didn't-
on Kirkland did. The
I
kids
had
on
some
Kirkland
TV
had.
dinners, but I
Yeah,
still
we had
ate
them
dessert.
TV dinners used to be hit.
I ain't
Oh,
had
when you
dessert,
say
but-
TV dinners, you mean like dinners they serve on TV?
No.
The ones you put in the
No.
microwave
I'm
and they
talking about the
might
box
they
meat.
burn
Yes,
them on the side just a little bit.
Yeah.
I remember what that was like. I remember there's like Prime. It looked like you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, before I interrupt, the class war that was getting ready to go down. I did want to offer a different perspective on everything. And, as you mentioned earlier, I believe in seeking the good. And I heard a guy say this, and he said, a lot of people overestimate what they can accomplish in 6 months, but they greatly underestimate what they can accomplish in 5 years. And so to answer your question about what do we need to do to get the community on track to continue getting to a place of Black love, I think we're already doing it now. Not only did we go from a place of saying, a lot of great, amazing things happened up until this event, but even after the event, it was a very powerful movement of like, hey, we need to come together as people. We need to do better as a community. And just listening to the different events and things going on that you guys described, like one of the reasons I kind of attached myself to you two is I grew up in Tulsa, but I was like, I don't know where I can go to really be a part of everything. And so it wasn't until I met you guys and I spent more time downtown that I got around Greenwood and I started to get a little flavor of what was going on. And then as I've been down here more, I was like, I need to be down here more. And I get to hear about more things going on, more people doing things. Yeah. And that gives us that if we are just here, if we start to actually come here like you do with your children, that gives us a chance to meet each other and see what we actually have going on. Because listening to you guys talk about things, I'm like, man, I wish I didn't sleep. I wish I slept less than I actually do because I don't sleep often. But so that I could go to more of these events, because every single one you tell me that I didn't go to, I'm like, man, I wish I would have been there. But just little things, like you said, those kids didn't have any support. We could just show up to an event.
Yeah.
You ain't got to be there for everything.
Yeah.
But, something that is, just, once a weekend or something. But just being there, being around the people, that's how we're going to build this.
Yeah.
When we stop becoming strangers,
Yeah.
that's the way we can actually make a change. And so I think the thing is, we're doing it now. We just have to understand that now matters. Us showing up matters.
Teaches.
I agree.
True.
Showing up is very important. I would say, I'm a third grade teacher. So I guess I would say to that, you have a very great point on that, because just showing up for my students, like they just wanted me to go to the Discovery Lab for a field trip. Mrs. Lewis, can you just show up? Can you come? And I just came and just put a smile on their face just to show up. Like I don't have to buy anything, but just like showing up and being there for them, like that matters.
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
That's definitely true. We got to get back to being the aunties and the uncles of the community, right? Like, and also with that, we got to start allowing people to be the aunties and uncles. We got to start allowing people to, hey, they ain't got to physically hit your kid, but they should be able to like say, you ain't supposed to be out there doing that.
That goes to my next question. He kind of answered it, you kind of answered it, but I think there's a wall in between us accepting or welcoming back that community aspect back into our relationships, because I say this all the time. Growing up, I remember when I started to see the shift, the detachment from our community relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I went to school in the middle of the Magnolia Project, and a woman had beat up one of the teachers,
Mm.
right? And at this time, we were still getting whoopings at school,
Mm.
by the teachers. So when I found out that the teacher was the teacher was beat up because she whooped her child, that didn't make sense to me.
Mm.
Mm.
So, like, how do we get back to that community relationship or that community utopia if we feel like we're been hurt by the community?
Right.
Because nobody wants to whip your child.
Right.
When people get they're to the point where they're like, that's your child,
Mm-hmm.
because they're afraid that if they tell your child something, you might snap on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do we come back from that?
Yeah, for real.
I really feel like the community just lacks trust, honestly.
We do.
Trust issues.
We do. Yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah, I think because we fell off so bad that
Mhm.
we abuse that power, and it's just like we got to get back into a place of restoring it,
Mhm.
and that's gonna come through time and trusting and filling it out, making sure you're sending people out around people, but
Mhm.
just like I said, you ain't gotta physically reprimand a child, but definitely
Pull
go
them to the
ahead.
side.
Yeah,
Pull 'em
pull
to
them
the
to the
side.
side.
Yeah.
I know that's one thing Cody always says. Like when his students see him, they be
Mhm.
like, "Oh, pull your pants up." They tell their friends to
Right,
pull their
right.
They
pants
should.
up,
Yeah.
and it's because he has built that trust with them, and it's like we have to get back to that. And also, one thing Cody always says, he's like, pull it when you see a kid, speak to them and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
And it's just like we gotta start speaking to these kids, letting them know that we there. Like Crime said, showing up to these games. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy that these games be empty. Like we
Yeah.
went to a
We went
basketball
to a few.
game for
Yeah.
them, and it was so empty. It was like a
Yeah.
few people there, a few students, some parents with their siblings, but there were seats
You
remaining.
know what I
Like there
think
were
it is?
several
That's
seats.
crazy.
I think people really don't know the value in showing up for the small things,
Mhm.
They
because
don't.
That's it.
that's not the playoffs game. That's a
Right.
that's a
Right.
game. Because like it's funny, earlier you said in the same breath, oh, I want to thank Tulsa for showing up. Y'all showed up for these kids.
Mhm.
That was a big thing.
Mhm.
So they all came out. They flooded the doors. Some of them was waiting outside, standing up. They didn't have places to sit.
Mm-hmm.
So the adults, they show up when they think it matters.
Yeah.
But they don't realize those small things matters too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm showing up to every one of your games,
Yeah.
you gonna play harder because you like,
That's a fact.
hey,
Yeah.
dad over there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
My
We
auntie
didn't even.
over there, that's my cousin. Like, yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
fact.
yeah, and as far as like answering my question from earlier, I think what we could do to to build towards that community again is just meeting some of these kids' parents too,
Mm-hmm.
because I know as a teacher,
Mhm.
I know you have a relationship with the kids where
Of
you have
course.
that
Yeah.
village mentality, like that's
Mhm.
you're actually demonstrating the village mentality inside the classroom, and you may not be able to discipline the kids because we've lost that trust in that area,
Oh yeah.
but you're able to call a parent and say, hey, look, Johnny ain't acting right, or Tiffany, she ain't listening, I know she can do better. But if we can have that mentality outside of the classroom, like if we can all act like teachers,
Mhm.
then we can start changing the community like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like what we do is like we build a community of people that we trust.
Mm-hmm.
So like Prime, uh, your wife, if y'all tell our kids something, I'm not gonna turn my head and look at you.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I'm gonna turn my head and look at them and ask them what they did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Uncle
saying?
said so.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because I know you, I trust you,
That's-
and I think that's something that we're missing. Like Cody said, Cody said, how many he asked adults, how many of y'all spoke to these kids out there?
Right. Right. Yeah.
A lot of us didn't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So you're not even making that connection with that child. So if you're not speaking to the kids, you're definitely not speaking to the parents.
Right.
But we definitely need to be getting involved in these kids' lives. Or like he said, I'm quoting him a lot. We should have called him on too.
Man, at this
but
point,
but he said,
and I don't want to cut your point.
Go ahead,
I was
you
gonna say,
got it.
after he had said that he came by our booth at Juneteenth, it kept it in my head. I don't know if I did as much as I did afterwards, but once he had said that, I had to make sure that every single group of young, brothers I saw, even if they were ski masks, that don't mean nothing to me. I'm like, hey, what's up? Y'all good? Y'all good? Y'all want some juice? We said we straight, and then they stopped for a minute. They even wanted to talk, and then I seen some younger brothers too. This is a little side thing, but they came up to our booth because I had on my sign. I said, free juice, ? If you can guess how many minerals are in sea moss.
Yeah.
I kid you not, bro. We had at least 3, maybe 5 gang up on us. Like, I know it. Okay, it's 3, it's 4, it's 0, it's 5. And I mean, they just got like so engaged in it. And it felt good because I'm like, I got some free juice to give. I know y'all hot out here. But I mean, of course, my wife kind of led them to the answer because, of course, they didn't guess it. Although I don't know if they used their phone.
She was like, "You're close."
Yeah, I was like, "You're almost there."
Almost there. He was like 99. A little lower.
90, 92.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that.
yeah, that's definitely true. I definitely it's I really believe as a community we have what it takes. If that many people showed up to event, I mean, like it was well over 60 people there.
Right.
And I was just like, if that many people show up, if that many people could commit to speaking to a kid when they see them, if that many people could say, I can make this game, like I can make that game, I can go there, different things like that. Like if we can do that, then we can start restoring the village, and it's just like that. Like Cody, he is right now he's working on something called Raising Little Africa, and it's basically a program for youth, right? And just like we were just talking about that today, we're gonna be going back there, talk about it some more. So it's just like, how do we get there? How do we get people sponsorships? One, because we need people to sponsor money just so that we can provide things. But at the same time, like people give their own money. A lot of times people are giving their own money. If there's no sponsors and it's something that they want to do, they're giving their own money. But the only thing is with giving your own money, eventually it's going to get a little hard, a little difficult, and you have to make decisions, on how to continue with it. And there's a lot of people, I think her name is Beatrice. She was telling me about a program she did on West Tulsa. In West Tulsa, she did for a while. And she was just saying how once the funding stopped, she didn't stop. She kept giving her own money.
I wonder if that's the Beatrice in the comments right now.
Oh, but that is true. She was telling me about her program that she did, and they removed funding from her because they didn't feel as though that the area was that important. So it's just like she did phenomenal work. And now today you got these kids are gonna remember you. Like, I mean, we doing mentorship. I got kids that I've mentored and they follow me on Instagram, and it's like I get to see them growing up. Like they're like in their 20s now. So these kids, I know, it's crazy. So these kids, they were like in high school.
Oh, look.
So I mean, y'all confusing me.
They're in their 20s.
I know. Oh, look.
So now we about to
we've been mentoring the youth for 10 years.
No,
He said how
he's in the 30s.
We 45.
No, I am not that old.
No.
Yeah, it's all cap.
All cap.
Okay.
She's 38. No, I'm joking. She's 35. I'm 36.
Yeah. Well, no, I am not. I am 34 until December.
Even still, I thought y'all was late 20s. That's crazy.
Oh, somebody told me that. Somebody told me that.
She fell in the U category for the little meeting. I was like,
I know they were separating it.
You barely made it. I'm like,
what?
dang, I'm 36. I mean, y'all gonna stop at 35?
All right, hilarious.
But I want to get to the comments. First, I'm just being petty with this one. Serenity said, yeah, we ain't have dessert. So,
but you also said she just think that social media messed us up. We feel connected because we see what's going on in each other's lives online. So many feel like they don't need to physically show up. It is a false connection. Then people really think they just know what's going on in your life because you watch what you're Girl, yeah.
That is
That's
true.
powerful. That's powerful.
So yeah,
That's
that
true,
is so true. You know, we can't just be showing up for these kids in the comment section.
That's not good
You
enough.
can't.
No,
We
that's
gotta
not good.
pull out and show up and do your thing.
And Beatrice comment, and then we
Oh.
got
Yeah, go ahead.
April gonna get
Well,
us.
look,
gonna
let
do
Prime-
Prime.
Prime- look, Prime
I was
was about
gonna
to say
say
something.
to kind of add to your point is, with these events, and the reason I was saying we just got to show up is because if you can't give your money, you can give your time.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
definitely.
And so a lot of these events, what people don't understand is they think, well, if I don't go, it's not that big of a deal. Well, it is. Like if you're trying to get funding for an event that's got 200 to 300 people every so often, that doesn't sound anywhere near as we got 4,000 people who showing up, and we need help to help more people.
Yeah.
Right.
So
good,
if
yeah.
we want these things to continuously develop, we actually got to show up and support it.
Yeah, that's
And so that
true.
just takes your time.
That's true.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, and Beatrice, she said it's definitely a hard thing to come back to. Think about so much unhealed trauma in adults being victim of abuse and pedophilia, and she's talking about trusting people with your kids.
Yeah.
How can folks put that kind of kind of trust in someone with their kids to keep that from happening to them? There's a lot to unpack. That is so
That is a
true.
lot.
That is true.
That is
Yeah.
so true.
I heard someone say, I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you
No,
off.
go.
I heard someone say that you should stop forcing your children to give someone a hug before they leave. Like your cousin about to leave, go give them a hug because they need to know that they have the option to feel safe with their body, so that they have the power of know when they need it. And stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, can I shake your hand? If you ask, you should tell people, make sure you ask. If you don't force my kid to give you a hug.
Yeah.
And it's because times have changed, like because there's so many opportunities for your child to become a victim now. You know, back then it was different. It was just like, that's your cousin, go hug him, you know.
Right.
But now it's just
Right.
like time has changed. I agree with
But even then,
her and Beatrice.
even then,
I got a question. Is it really that times have changed that much, or have we just changed how we look at each other? Do we just see a villain sitting next to us? Do we see that everybody's a threat? Do we feel like we have to question all of our family members now?
I think
And we just didn't do it before?
I wouldn't put it
like,
past
are they
them.
worse now than they were before?
no. I think we have more of a voice now.
Yeah.
We're talking about it versus sweeping it under the rug.
We can speak up more.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is,
No,
are we teaching our children to not be accustomed to physical affection? And so is there a ramification for that?
That is true.
Do they not learn that do they not learn, hey, just because I'm not happy with you right now, that don't mean I don't love you. And a hug is a form of expression for love. You don't necessarily got to like everybody you hug.
Yeah.
But so I guess the other side of that question is are we making a lot of these decisions out of fear, or is this practicality? I do think it is practical in a sense. So I've said it before. I think the village has become villains, and I don't think it's just a perspective. I think it's also because we're starting to no longer trust each other. We're starting to no longer have that love for each other. Well, you said the village is villains, so why would they trust anybody?
Past generational trauma.
I think that's one of the things is we tend to see each other in a much darker shade now. Like we don't believe in the gray area anymore. It can't just be I don't know, and so I'm gonna go find out. Now it's like if I don't know, you likely da 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 da.
I mean, if it's hard because if you find one, everybody, I cannot put it past anybody. If you find one in your family, I can't have my baby girl wearing super loose clothing around anybody in the house. No.
Right. Thanks.
It's hard.
Facts. Yeah, no, I think that's something we got to figure out.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like we need a sound that say it's prime time.
yes, it's definitely prime time. Prime gonna lead this one on how he feels he wants to lead it. But go ahead, Prime.
All right. So I'm gonna tell a little bit of a story here. I didn't have a social media post, and the conversation today wouldn't have fit anything like that anyway. So on my way in, I got here almost like 5 minutes before showtime, which I'm normally not the first one here, but I'm usually not that late. But when I came in, you know, I thanked everybody for their patience, but I made a point not to apologize. And the reason I bring that up is I was speaking with an elder a while back, and he said, you know, one of the problems is you young generation is you guys apologize for too much. You're always pleading with somebody for something or something else. And he says is that if you were an actual man and you made a decision and that had a consequence, you don't need to apologize for that. You just thank those people for being patient with you. And if you didn't get there fast enough to do what you need to do, thank them for the opportunity anyway. I say all of that to say is a couple years ago, I decided that I was not going to rush to do anything or rush anything that I do. And the reason that that was very important is because it forced me to make changes in how I did things and how I viewed things, forced me to change how I prioritize things, because it became a very obvious that if it wasn't important enough for me to be there on time, then I could show up late. And then if it was so important that I couldn't be there late, then that means I would need to make an appointment to be there on time. So it forced me to plan a little bit correctly. It also forced me to not say yes to all of my engagements, because I knew if the day went the wrong way, I'm not going to rush to get there, and I'm not going to be sorry that I showed up late. I say all of that to say is that you figure out whatever it is, purpose, mission, or ideal you want to live your life by, but figure out something and stand by it. And just by standing by it, it's going to change fundamentally how you view the rest of your life. And so you don't need to rush to get anywhere. You don't need to rush anything to do it. You always do it sloppily. The real question is it important enough to be there on time? Do they want you there bad enough to where it don't matter if you're late?
Wow, I like that. I like that. I like that.
That's what I'm gonna leave y'all with today.
I think that one of my mentors had told me that too, because we meet and eat sometimes. Shout out King Kedron, and he used to get on me about the same thing. Man, stop apologizing. I got time. I made time for you in this space, and he would be lightweight upset. He's like, look, you ain't gotta belittle yourself. I got time. So it's cool. We gonna still chop it. I know you're rushing. I don't want you rushing, because then you're gonna be stressing out, doing stuff, sweating that you ain't meant to do. So I like that perspective. I really do.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that even goes with the kids that we're dealing with today. That just do it. Just be there. Just show up. Don't worry about let's all of us stop worrying about what we doing. Let's just show up and let's do something versus fumbling over our words.
Just be intentional.
Be there intentional.
Even showing up late sometimes really is a real bold statement, because it says like, hey, look, that person may have just gotten off of work. And they knew that even if I can be there for the last 2 minutes, I'm gonna be there.
Besides, how can you know if they really, really want you there if you ain't never late? If nobody ever calls like, hey, are you still showing up? How can you really know they really want you there? Well,
I gotta wait till I get the call.
I'm not saying do it all the time, but it's good to feel sometimes.
Yeah.
I also wanted to. Sorry to bring this back, but I also wanted to add another comment towards the previous topic about the trust in the community. Is how hard it's been. We also have to take into account, and I'm talking about us as men, as brothers specifically, that we have to, making sure we speaking up for these young girls, man, because it's too many that have been gone, abused. I'm talking about physically abused, and in that way, sexually. And it's like, I kid you not, when I was growing up, I had too many girls that I had talked to before I finally found my wife who had been abused.
Same here.
And it was like, well, like, is this just a normality? And it shouldn't be. My wife included. She had been, in that same situation. I know she feels comfortable with me speaking on it, but she had been abused in her own home by her own mother's husband. And, people, it was not enough people speaking up about it. And, there's one saying that I've heard a lot of sisters say: every man group has at least one that they either don't know of, or they don't speak up enough about it. Like, hey, bro, that's not all right. That's not okay.
Yeah, and I'm happy you bring that back too, because like when I say the villages become villains, and I'm like, it's not that we just view them as villains. It's actually factual.
Yeah.
You know, because like you said, and I've said it before, even on the radio, but every woman I've ever been with has been raped or molested. You know, so like, how could you raise your kids,
right?
And you know, still
without that double eye conscious, you know, I gotta look back.
Right.
Let me fill them out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just gonna read this little last comment that Beatrice said. She said they are both prevalent sides depending on the situation. This was to what you had said earlier about like, well, which one is it?
The opposite side, yeah.
Depending on the situation. Again, our past trauma have had us guarded, so the voices we have now we're able to give to our children awareness of people and their behaviors. You say long ago, the saying was, what happens in the house stays in this house. And the abuse was able to go through generations without consequences. So no children shouldn't be forced to hug or speak to anyone they don't feel comfortable engaging
because it might be a reason.
Yeah, that's true. And that we have to allow the kids to have autonomy, you know, and stuff like that. But I do understand the fear of, well, if we're not just giving those hugs like out of, you know, because a hug does so much for someone, you know, and that's like a family bond. So it's like, I think is knowing who's around your kids. I think that makes the difference. You fill that person out, you know, and also giving your kids that voice to know what good touch is, bad touch is, how close a person should be to you. You know, that alone, I feel like that can help, you know, making sure your child is a child that can speak up, you know, and being mindful of your child's personality as well.
Yeah, that does help.
I did want to add is that, like, so the reason I push back on the hugging thing isn't because necessarily the hugging thing I think is the end of the world, although I do think it's important that one, you build a connection with both the children and the family.
I agree.
You know, because otherwise, if you're just saying hi and bye to a kid, you don't really build an attachment sometimes. But, you know, a hug could do it. But the other thing is that I also think we have to be careful of a push for the adultification of children. And that is really my chief concern is like, are we trying to make our kids adults or autonomous before they are ready or capable of doing that? Are we trying to get them to be able to filter through ideas and concepts they haven't been been around long enough to be able to understand? Like, part of the reason that we didn't need to do that before is because as parents, we you know, were the buffer between the people that they interacted with for the most part. But as a consequence of us not doing that, now we're like, okay, well, don't hug everybody. Well, okay, well, now that leads to, well, you only gonna hug the family members that I like when I like them. You know what I mean? And so what's gonna happen if, you know, it's the situation where they got to choose to injure themselves or you know, protect your child, and it's like, well, you know, I don't really know that kid like that. So I'm just my concern is that when we are, I think that there's an importance in keeping children until they're at that age where they're ready to become adults, as opposed to trying to treat them like they are about to be adults as children. I think that's something we gotta be mindful of. It's like some of that stuff, like a child does not understand empathy. They haven't experienced enough to be able to process that idea. So expecting a child to be empathetic to really make decisions like that is crazy.
Well, Richard, you want to close this out? The blackout.
Yeah. So this is the Black Love Club. Thank you guys for tuning in to KBOB 89.9. And first off, I just want to encourage you guys to follow our guests. I'm posting in the chat how you can find them. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram under Original Healings.
Yes.
And again, we want to thank you guys. But before I close out, do you guys have any lasting words?
I just wanted to advocate for one of our own organizations, because there's a lot out here. There's not one that's just, you know, that's not going to work, because we got to get over the ego thing, as was mentioned earlier. we represent the youth of the Nation of Islam, and we like to say that we offer a lot to the community, and we offer a lot of mental development, spiritual development, and a lot that'll help us advance and help us get back to that village mindset, that village love. So as well, if you go to our page, you will find that. And I just want to say thank you guys for having us. Y'all did it, man. Y'all are doing it. I'm proud of y'all. Like, bro, this is it. Like, y'all are doing it. So I want to say y'all keep it going, because we really love this.
Inspiration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much for being
Glad
here.
to have y'all.
Of course.
Thank y'all. And look, we're going to include y'all in on this. So when we close, we say, Black woman, we love you. And
the women
say,
Black men,
we love you.
we love you.
Okay. Y'all ready?
all right. So I'm going to say this again. I'm going to rewind. Thank you for tuning in to KBOB 89.9. And this is the Black Love. Thank you for tuning in. And always remember, Black women,
We love you.
We love you.
We're going to do it
Black
again.
men.
No. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. We're going to
It
do
was
it
a little
again.
rusty. It was a
All
little
right.
rusty. But it's okay. It's okay.
Thank you for tuning in.
No.
And Black women, we love
love
you. All right.
And
that's
Black
right.
men, we love you. All right, Black
And-
child, you are golden. And we love y'all too. We look how y'all say we love you. We love y'all. Shay said this is healing. This is community. This is what tribe is all about. And I love this, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Oh, you know what? You're gonna have to